Hello, I'm Harvey Lockhart. I'm the founder, executive, and artistic director for Hill Center for the Arts. Welcome to our Intellectual Artist Series student podcast. This student-led podcast is where our students learn and discuss the arts discipline that they're studying, from the history, the culture, the business behind it, anything you can think of arts related, our students are talking about it. Stay tuned, and we know that you'll enjoy today's episode.
Welcome back to Hill Center for the Arts Intellectual Artist Series podcast. My name is Asia Brantley, and I'll be your host. So today we're going to continue our talk about Ernie Wilkins and his tribute to not only St. Louis, but as well as jazz. And so today we actually have the chance to interview his brother, Billy Wilkins. And as you know, previously, we've been talking with a few other students to talk about his legacy and the impact he had here in St. Louis, as well as in places like Denmark. And we've had the chance to talk on more of that. And we hope you guys really enjoy this episode. We've been working on this project for Ernie Wilkins. And I would say the main goal of this project is to really get to know him, get to understand who he was, and to know where our music comes from. Because as a young jazz musician, I know I haven't been playing jazz for too long. And I would say I really started my freshman year getting into jazz and playing with the big band and everything. And so our North County Big Band, we've done a few projects dedicated to a few, really significant musicians. And the first project we did this year was actually kind of like a tribute to Duke Ellington. And we know that he's really known. He's really known by so many musicians. If you don't know him and you're a jazz musician, you probably live under a rock. But so now it's Ernie Wilkins. And prior to this project, I didn't know who he was. And I hadn't heard about him. I hadn't heard much about him. And so I'm really excited to be doing this project to get to know him, because he's he is a St. Louis legend. And so the first question I just wanted to ask was, who was Ernie Wilkins to you?
He's my oldest brother. The one was lots of fun, well liked, and we're very proud of, even when he was in a local mode, as a local musician playing around the St. Louis city. So the other brother also was a musician, which was Jimmy Wilkins, and they were, age-wise, a lot closer to me. They were so very close together, and often played together. So he played around town in his young days quite a bit, and developed and moved to New York, stayed in New York for many, many years. Then he started commuting from New York to Copenhagen, Denmark, where he married and adopted 2 kids.
Mm-hmm. And so I know you said that him and Jimmy were really close. And so I read a lot about them and how when their career took off, it wasn't Ernie's, took off by himself. And he was really known for arranging, but when you read a lot about them, read the newspapers and different things about them, it always says that when they first got started, it really started when Clark Terry introduced them to Basie. And together he was well, I want both of you guys to come along. And so he got both Jimmy and, Ernie to both go along with them. So do you recall anything about that, when they first started working with Basie, or how was that for you and your family?
Yeah, I do recall when he went with the Basie band, although I was quite young. I understood it very clearly because we listened to a lot of music all the time. And we were very happy about that. Seemed like that was a good place for him to be at that time. And a lot developed as a result of being with the Basie band, because he also did a lot of things for the band. I don't know if you recall the singer Joe Williams.
Yes.
Every day I have the blues.
Ernie played a role in writing that popular tune that you hear all the time. Every day I have the blues.
Yes. And it's funny that you say that. Every Day I Have the Blues was actually one of the first tunes I'd ever sang, because I do trumpet and jazz vocal. And I remember the first jazz camp I went to, Mr. Harvey Lockhart, the first jazz camp that I went to of his, that was the first song that I'd done. And while it probably wasn't his arrangement, it was just like really crazy to think about because I'm like, what? It's like every day I have the blues. And I remember even Mr. Harvey Lockhart was really like, wow, like, you know, he did that, like, you know, him and Joe Williams. So that was like really exciting to know.
Yeah, well, Count asked him and another gentleman, I don't recall the other gentleman's name, was in the band, to write something for Joe, Joe Williams, and they came up with that. And at the time, Count was doing well, but he wasn't doing as well as he should have been doing. And Every Day I Had the Blues came out, and he became up again because his visibility started climbing again. And that was one of the numbers. And then the other number that they did for Joe was All Right, Okay. I don't know if you heard that one or not.
I have heard that one, but I probably haven't heard his arrangement. But it's just, it's really incredible to just hear and just know like Ernie Wilkins did that. And it's like really proud being a St. Louis native. And the fact that like I haven't heard much about him prior to this project, I'm really just happy and like excited that this project can, you know, do that.
Well, you know, looking back, you have to look way, way back, 1955. At the time, I was in the military, but he also did an album for Sarah Vaughan called Sarah Vaughan, Land of Hi-Fi. And that album really exploded. It was really, really a hot album. And Sarah was at her best on that album. And also, that was the first time I'd ever heard of Cannonball Adderley and Nat Adderley on that particular album. And I used to listen to a lot of jazz. And we were in high school, we liked jazz, you know. Of course, we didn't have hip hop out then, but the Miles Davis all the time.
Right.
I don't know, things changed, you know, over time, but we were really into the jazz in high school. But 1955 was the year that Sarah Vaughan album came out with Ernie doing the arrangements. And my favorite tune on that particular album was Over the Rainbow, Somewhere Over the Rainbow. I think that was the first tune on the recording too. That was really beautifully done.
And I would have to say Sarah Vaughan is actually one of my favorite jazz vocalists. Like I love her so much. She's absolutely amazing. And with that being said, like how you say his career and how like all the, you know, great people who've gotten a chance to work with, how would you describe his career?
It was, you know, a roller coaster, so to speak, like most musicians experience peaks and valleys. You know, stay on top, and then you're down, you're up, you're down, you're up, you're down, and sometimes your period of being up is much longer than your valleys, you know, but he hung in there and made a life out of it. He did quite well.
Like, has there ever been like a time when, you know, he was probably at his lowest and like you guys, like the family may have come together to like help him, or even how he said that when he moved to Denmark, that he was able to get more done and things like that. So what was that like for the family?
Well, the move to Denmark was, you know, rather, I guess it wasn't surprising because he commuted to Europe. Well, I don't know if you call it frequently, but often enough. And he married in Denmark and adopted the 2 kids. So that was his first family. Okay. And I've been there to see him too before he passed away. And I enjoyed Denmark. There's no language barrier or anything like that. And the musicians are really, really good over there. We had a couple of them that come to St. Louis for his memorial that performed here in St. Louis. And I had met them while I was in Denmark, so I knew them well. And I did a little cookout for them at my house.
And so I know you say you weren't surprised. So he talked about, like, in a few of the interviews that he did while in Denmark, he talked about how, like, his career kind of took off. You know, he established his big band, and he kind of felt that St. Louis was holding him back and that he wasn't able to accomplish as much as he would have liked while he was here.
Well, I think he did. I think it had a tremendous impact on his life when he moved here. He's very popular, very popular. As a matter of fact, they have a street name after him in Copenhagen. So he was very popular, very respected, and they love the arts in Copenhagen. So it's not surprising. We have a lot of talent there. So.
As far as like his life in Copenhagen, Denmark, and everything like that. So, would you say that it was best for him to go to Denmark, or do you think it probably wouldn't have mattered?
I don't know. It's kind of he still commuted back to New York, and he did several things in New York, even though he lived in Denmark as well. Mm-hmm. Some of the things I don't know why we can't find them, but he had another album out called Blood, Sweat, and Brass, and all the instruments. There were no reed instruments on the album, but Ernie didn't really like the album for some reason. I loved it, but he didn't like it. So then there's another album he put out called Four Black Immortals, and I don't know why we can't find that. I had my copy, and you give it to somebody, it never comes back to you, So he was still active, on New York scene somewhat. And I guess there was so much to do in Europe until he stayed much busier than he would have been in St. Louis.
Mm-hmm. And I know you also spoke on some of your favorite arrangements, like the one with Sarah Vaughan and the album he did with her. And so what would you say is probably like one of your top, like number one arrangements that he did?
Number one? I think the biggest album I ever remember is just that Sarah Vaughan album. That was the one that really stays in my head. Really. I don't know if you've heard that.
No, I haven't. And I really need to listen to it because I love Sarah Vaughan and I'm pretty sure it's amazing.
You got to hear that one, But see, what happened, probably long before you grew up, the old mono records were kind of draggy, mm-hmm. But when hi-fi came out, it made a very distinct difference in music. Matter of fact, all the clubs in St. Louis used to have a sign in the window, "We have hi-fi." And people go into the clubs because they had the hi-fi. Get mm-hmm. that distinct sound. It had a greater impact than stereo had when it came out, when hi-fi came out. And I think that's another reason why the Sarah Vaughan album was well received too, because of the transition from the old mono, slow, draggy music to the hi-fi.
Right. Probably us wrapping up. And so for my last question that I have for you, is there anything that you would like to share with our audience and with us about something that maybe someone never knew about Ernie, or just something that's like really personal, or something that you'd like us to know?
Well, when we were young, there was something called a penny postcard, and that was our way of communicating. This is something you have to try to ask your grandparents and great-grandparents about, maybe. And we communicate by a penny postcard in the mail. Just cost 1 penny. And we write each other like that to keep in touch, when they were in the Navy and at Wilberforce College. Mm-hmm. They both, Jimmy and Henry, went to Wilberforce College in Ohio. And they would come home and we'd get out, we'd have fun, and, we had a great time. But he was from a huge family. Like, my father had 8 brothers and 2 sisters. That's something that a lot of people don't know, okay? And so we had a huge family at one time. And lots of cousins, of course. Mm-hmm. And when Ernie would come in town, we'd all get together. Ernie or Jimmy, we'd all get together, just have a eat out, or just laugh and talk and share some thoughts. It was always a a great day when they would come in town, because they're out of town so much.
And I can say I can actually relate because I have a big family as well. I'm actually the youngest of 13, and it's only, well, I have, 11 sisters and only 2 brothers, and I'm the youngest of 13, and I don't have a whole bunch of cousins because, like, I have my siblings, but all my siblings, and their children, they have, it's like my nieces and nephews, they have, like, a whole bunch of cousins. So it's just all of them, and our get-togethers are always like a party, even if it's just, the immediate family. So I can relate to that. That's, like, really cool.
Right. Well, it's quite different now because everybody got older, everybody is deceased now. Mm-hmm. So, it seems like it's a little lonely compared to yesterday, so to speak, so.
Yeah.
Then Jimmy died in 2018. I think Ernie died in I think he died in 97. And so I'm still here, but I'm 85 now. I'm getting up there in age.
Right.
But I played music when I was young. I could play better at 8 than I can at 80.
Were you inspired by Jimmy and Ernie?
Well, I was discouraged. It was hard. And, the struggle was rather hard. And I guess I had a horn. And I started off playing what they call a C melody saxophone. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but there was a teacher who lived in the city, inner city, and most of the people my age went to Mr. Slaughter's house for saxophone lessons, and he provided the C melody saxophones. Then eventually I got a real alto, and then I just didn't have the passion for it. That's what it takes. You got to have a passion for it. I still play in the garage. I can't entertain anybody but myself, but I still play.
Right.
I can still read music. But that's about it.
And so before we go, I did just want to ask more about different things he did here in St. Louis. And so, here we have our Jazz Edge Orchestra. And so do you remember or recall any of the projects or his workings with that band or anything like that?
I think he came here to direct the band. Or it might have been Jimmy. I don't know which one came. Well, Jimmy came to direct the band with Don Cunningham. He's another St. Louisan that migrated to Las Vegas. He's a percussionist, really. And, he's still in Vegas. And they used to do a combination of things together in Vegas. And I think a lot of the music that the band currently has was given to Don Cook and George Davis by Jimmy's wife that Ernie had written over the years. They flew down to Vegas and picked it up and got it back to St. Louis. I don't know. I would go out with him and he would play, because I couldn't play anything. I'd sit there and listen to him play and the other group play. But, I just never had the passion for it.
All right.
Took a different career path.
And we want to thank you so much for joining us today. That was all the questions I had, and I really enjoyed, just talking about Ernie Wilkins and his legacy and the different things he did, not only here in St. Louis, but also in Denmark. So thank you so much again. I really did enjoy having this talk with you, and I really do hope you have the rest nice of your day.
All right, thank you. I wish you the very best in your career.
Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in. Our Ernie Wilkins series is in collaboration between Hill Center for the Arts and the Jazz Edge Orchestra. Our student musicians are members of the North County Big Band in collaboration with the Sheldon Concert Hall. Special thanks goes out to the Sheldon for the audio and visual recordings of the students, the Kranzbergh Arts Foundation for providing the space to record this series, and the Wilkins family for your support. This series was made possible by the financial support of the Missouri Arts Council and the Regional Arts Commission. Our director and founder is Harvey Lockhart. Our production manager and designer is Brandon Brinkley. Thanks for joining us. If you are enjoying our series, please like and subscribe to our Intellectual Artist Series wherever you get your podcasts. To learn more about our programs, please visit us on our website at www.healcenterforthearts.org. Again, that's www.healcenterforthearts.org. And while you're there, go ahead and make a tax-deductible donation to further support our work. Thank you, and we'll catch you next time.